Barbara Dixon, it's really you, it's really me. 10 minutes past 3, welcome back to the second hour of City Extra. We've talked several times on the programme about the pop stars of the 60s and the golden age of groups like the Beatles, whose music has survived to the present day. But there's probably only a handful of groups who've managed to complete the course and stay successful. And out of those, I can think of only one group that's built on its success and become better and better, who've matured like a vintage wine and achieved universal appreciation. Their recording career began back in 1962 in Australia, where they'd emigrated from the north of England. Today, it's a multi-million-dollar industry, and the group has collected just about every accolade the music business has to offer. Their first big hit was a ballad called Massachusetts, which sold 5 million copies. 10 years later, their soundtrack album, Saturday Night Fever, became the largest-selling LP in history, and up to now has sold over 25 million, not counting the songs from the album that became #1 hits on their own. The list is endless, and the group has quite rightly been called a musical phenomenon. They've made their homes in America, but today they're back in Britain, and my special guest here on City Extra, Barry, Morris and Robin, collectively known as the GEES. Gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the programme.
After that introduction, I don't know what to say.
Overwhelming.
Well, are you impressed? Are you?
With that, yeah, absolutely.
When are they coming?
What? Yes. You taking your gloves off now, done the introduction?
Oh yeah, I always sweat, you see.
Oh, that's nice.
I thought you had during introduction.
I thought you had something funny on your hands. You didn't want to show us.
No, actually these are not the gloves underneath.
Oh, really?
So wear gloves underneath
when
the
you take
gloves.
those off, we'll all faint.
Absolutely.
Now, I know you played the Liverpool Empire about 10 years ago. Was that the last time you were in Liverpool?
I think it was.
I can't say for sure that we haven't actually driven through Liverpool, but I think that's the last time we officially did anything meaningful in the city. I mean, that was the last time we've done a show here in Liverpool. Yes.
Do you think it was appearing in Liverpool that has put you on the road to success?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think it's Liverpool that helped put a lot of groups on the road to success.
Absolutely.
And you may as well.
Actually, when you're actually just saying that, actually, Liverpool. There was a time in America where if you didn't have a Liverpool accent, you know, even Americans were putting on Liverpool accents.
Really?
Liverpool was very, very popular in America, as you well know, and in the 60s, and it was very, very trendy to be from Liverpool. Everybody was from Liverpool. In America, I'm from Liverpool. Yeah, and not just in the music industry, everywhere, you know, because anything that was English had an endorsement on it, a stamp of approval, a mirror of credibility, and it was down from clothes, boots, jackets, anoraks, dinky toys, fashion, anything.
All right.
Yeah, but it's true. I'm talking. Hang on, finish. I'm talking about England in the 60s.
Yeah.
Anything that was English, you know, and it wasn't just America, but it was all over the world.
And this presumably was because of the Beatles?
Because of the beat and the Mersey boom.
Yeah, the Mersey boom itself.
Liverpool was a very sort of
And the
central
fashion
piece.
and the flower power era came
Well,
in.
that was
And
later.
that was still England, though. I mean, England influenced the flower power boom just the same, you know.
Well, no, that came more from America, didn't it?
Yes, but it was still
San
influeed by
Francisco.
England. The Beatles.
all you need is love.
I think the
The
flower
interest
power
was-
era was actually the end of the English era, I think.
Yes.
Is it good to be back in the country?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yes,
excellent.
You know, see some different seasons and have an English Christmas, which we haven't seen for about 6 years. You know.
Yeah, it's just nice to be back and it's home, you know.
Of course, you grew up in this area, didn't you, in Manchester?
Yeah.
And on the Isle of Man. What were you like as children? From what I heard, you were a right bunch of terrorists.
Terrible.
Yeah, we were.
Oh, well, yeah.
There's just no other word for it. You
But
know.
we felt good. I can remember feeling good.
Yeah, I can remember having a very, very happy childhood. It was
Even
great.
though my father and mother were miserable. You know, I can remember feeling very happy looking at them crying.
Yeah,
He was the worst and crying, and I thought, God, you know.
Well, you can
they
guess
be
which
happy
one was
with
the
this.
worst. Was where it was Robin.
Yes.
I was a bit of a rebel when I was a kid, and as such I was a little
Well,
rebel,
we
and
were
now
all
I've grown
pretty
into a full
terrifying. I
rebel.
mean, if you came to our area, you were coming into Gib country. You know, as kids.
Oh, yeah.
And us and the rest of our gang would sort it out. You know.
We could knock a bottle off a fence at 100 yards just by looking at it.
There was a time when a policeman was chasing you and ended up in the river. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
What happened?
He's still there.
He's still there.
I'll have to fish him
Well,
out.
actually, we were playing along the Mersey,
He's the one that suggested we emigrate.
very subtly to our parents.
He had a chainsaw in his hand. He said, "No, emigrate."
No, we were playing along the Mersey as it happened, and we were shooting rats with air guns. You know, as was our wand.
It was our regular day for shooting.
That was our haunt. And
It's the nearest we got to shooting films in those days.
and what we did was, I think, was in those days was it was pretty bad. You would, you know, we were known as children. We were sort of, you can't call us anything else. We were firebugs. You know, I mean, we would cause fires in the most ridiculous places, and we would never hurt anyone personally, but we used to enjoy watching a good fire. You know, we would not set houses on fire,
Oh, no.
but But we've set allotments on fire and we burnt billboards down.
Don't forget the golf links.
Don't forget the golf links.
Yeah, don't forget the golf links.
But you know,
Now,
nothing
some
that we
of
can
you
ever
might be
remember.
sitting out there thinking, now, why did the Bee Gees ever emigrate?
Well, this is the
Well, this
reason.
is not the reason why.
Well, why did you go?
Because our
parents.
father and mother were looking for a better way of life. As was a lot of people in those days in England, there was such a thing as assisted passage to Australia, where a family could emigrate for £10,
That's right.
and they just lifted the whole family and emigrated. It took about 2 years to do.
What did you think when you got there? Did you like it?
Well, we had the best time of our lives because we travelled on a ship for 5 weeks, halfway around the world. We saw countries that children our ages would never have
That's right.
seen. You know,
See, we were very little kids at that time, and we don't even know we didn't
Half
even
the
know where
places we
Australia
saw,
was. We said
Yeah,
to Father,
right.
where are we going? He said, we're going to Australia. And Australia was a very funny word to a little kid, Australia. You know, and we weren't geographically educated in so much. I think we must have been about 6 and Barry was about 8 or 9.
Yeah.
And we got on the ship, we knew we were on a ship, and it was we never even saw a rowing boat. The Mersey, you know, as you well know, is in the neck of the woods in Manchester. You know, doesn't even hold a rowing boat. You know, it holds a lot of junk. And at that particular time, you know, going straight onto an ocean liner and then, you know, going out into the ocean, that freaked us out.
Egypt and places like that.
Oh, it was
That was,
amazing.
you know, it was absolutely
So when we came back from Australia to England 9 years later, we decided to come the same way. Instead of flying back, we took the boat again, you know, and we came back for 5. We lived on the boat 5 weeks again,
That's
and and instead of just seeing these places as children, this time we were able to examine those places. We went in the
appreciate
pyramids and the museum in Cairo, and
Your big break, though, came when you were in Australia, didn't it, on the radio and television over there? Do you think that would have happened if you'd stayed in this country?
we often wonder what might have happened had we never left England. We would have been a part of the Mersey boom, and because of that, we might not have been heard of today. The fact that because if you were part of the Mersey boom in a significant way, you don't mean as much anymore. It's like the Dave Clark Five and a lot of the groups that existed during the 60s.
I think it's probably unfair to say this, but it was a fact that a lot of groups got swept up in the Mersey boom, where they were having hits where otherwise they wouldn't. In other words, it was the sort of in thing to play anything that was probably from up north.
Or from Beatles,
or anything from this neck of the woods.
And it was a boom.
And it was a boom, and everybody cashed in on it, including America. We were not actually involved in that. We came after that era, because this was the era between late 1962 to 1960, end of 1965, 66, when the era ended. Because it was like, you know, where everybody was trying to throw as many eggs in the English basket then as they could.
I've seen some marvellous pictures of you when you were a teenage group, all short hair and brill cream.
Yeah.
Do you remember your early songs?
Oh, you have seen those, have you?
Yes, I have. You can see my solicitor later.
Yes,
Yes, the early songs stay with us as well. We still know them as well.
Yeah.
Who influenced you in the early days?
In the early days, well, for me, I think it was probably you're probably going back too early, but But in my sort of youth, it was Ray Charles, and before that, I think we've all got different tastes. In the very early days, I guess it was just pop stardom influenced us. Before the Beatles, this is when we lived in Manchester, and towards then it was Bill Haley, Tommy Steele,
Little
Cliff
Richard.
Richards, in fact.
Yeah, Cliff Richard.
Yeah.
Neil Sedaka came a little later.
Yeah.
Especially with the harmonies, because we could do his type of songs and sing
In
them
fact,
quite
if you
easily.
talk about influences, in fact, we used to sing the Book of Love and Lollipop, and that I guess you have to say we were influenced by the Mudlarks and people like that, who don't stand significantly today as big influences on anyone,
Right.
but in fact that's what we listened to, because for three brothers there wasn't anyone else singing three-part harmony.
You were using the name the Bee Gees in Australia, weren't you? Where did the name come from?
From a disc jockey called Bill Gates, his initials were BG, and another promoter called Bill Good, who both saw a great future for us, but didn't stay with us. They were going to do big things for us, and they disappeared after that. So this happened to us a lot of times, but in fact they named the group.
There was the three initials: Barry Gibb, Bill Gates, Bill Good, and
Barbara Gibb, our
Barbara
mother.
Gibb, our mother, and there's three of
Brothers
us.
Gibb.
She was Barbara.
And Brothers Gibb.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I expect many people will expect us this afternoon to play lots of your oldies while you're here. Well, we're not going to. We're going to play 3 tracks from...
Fair enough.
Lovely.
Fair
That's
enough.
the way you do it.
We would equally like them to hear as much of the new stuff as
Yes,
we
that's what I thought.
Yeah,
The first
nice.
one is a track from the new album, and it's called Paradise.